I fucking love Bomberman.
It's so good.
It's so good.
I love Bomberman so much.
I seriously the whole time have been like, I'm gonna fire up Bomberman 94 as soon as we get off.
It's so good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I might play more Wonderful 101 because I want to like with games like that. If I don't keep going,
Right.
I just stop.
Yeah,
I
you
just stop, and then it's like, oh, I forgot all the buttons, and then I never play again. So I might play more of that but I might just go to bed because I got that. Hopefully, my freaking shot tomorrow.
That's right, baby.
Unreal, man.
Start of the rest of your life.
Fingers
the first
crossed.
one was my fault, but hopefully tomorrow.
Was it? I don't know. I feel like they were just kind of
like
not clear about
they
that.
did, yeah, they weren't clear, but it was me thinking they said next week, and I was just like, well, they probably do them every day, so I'll just go on Monday.
Right.
Yeah. But I feel like they should have offered that information.
Or just like again, it just seemed like it was when I went, it was so like assembly line process that I just figured, okay, they're just doing this every day. This is their day to day until they're done with the vaccine.
Yeah. Right.
You know, so but apparently they're just once a week. So,
oh man, I will lie real quick before we all go our separate ways. We were walking. I was walking down the street past I think Advocate, whatever the ones on like Clark and Halstead.
Yeah.
And like there was just a nurse on the like corner and like stopping every single person, be like, "You vaccinated? I've got 2 to give."
Oh,
and I'm like, "This is the first time I've seen like this feels like scalping."
Yeah. That is almost.
It is
Weird.
Like at first I was
though.
like, "Oh, that's great," and then I'm like, "Is this legit?"
Yeah.
Like,
This is 1984, man.
You can buy scrubs anywhere. This might just be some like serial killer. Like,
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery
Hey, folks.
and John Hines.
hello.
And we are back, as always, to talk about some video games.
That's right.
But before we get into the games talk, why don't I kick it over to you, Randall?
That's right. Pause the video games talk just for a second.
Press pause.
Press pause on your video game controller. So I've got a little announcement, probably not a surprise to anybody that's been listening to the podcast here for a while when I talk about my time constraints. But I'm announcing that I'm taking a little bit of a step back down to part-time status for the Pursuing Pixels podcast. Lots of life happening at me right now, and it's not relenting. And as much as I love being on every single week, it's just it's not compatible at this moment to do so. So you'll hear my voice a little less often, but still very happy to be part of this thing and very proud of everything we've done up to this point. So all the love in all that statement, but yeah, you'll hear me a little less often at this point from here on out.
Yeah, and hopefully as much as possible. I know like for the next few months we'll be missing you probably even more so than in the future, but like you're always welcome anytime, and we're always down to talk some video games.
Oh yeah.
And
Appreciate that.
Yeah, always, man. And that's what we're here to do tonight, as always.
Hell
so
yeah.
why don't we dig into the games? If you've said your piece there, Randall.
Piece is said.
Nice. Perfect. So why don't we kick it over to John now for a new video game? New-ish by the time the episode comes out.
A game that I wasn't even honestly planning on getting right as quickly as I did, because typically I'll get a new physical copy of a video game like around a holiday, and it happened to be my birthday, so I ended up
It's a holiday enough for me.
treating myself to new Pokémon Snap. Which we mentioned in passing, like anticipating, I think, when we were
I don't know if they announced it during like a Nintendo Direct or something. There was definitely a time that we discussed it. We glanced off it quickly.
Mm-hmm. And I had only ever rented Pokemon Snap from Blockbuster maybe 1 or 2 times, never printed out at the kiosk.
No, I never did that either.
Oh, I did.
Printle.
I had Pokemon cards, and I kept my Pokemon cards in this like cardboard box thing, like a mailer box that has little flaps that you could kind of put in, so you could just put a piece of tape and mail it. So in that box, I would put all of my Pokemon cards, but on top of that box, I would put my stickers that I got from my Pokemon Snap photos, and would go with my sister to Blockbuster, and thankfully my mom would pay whatever, I'm sure, ridiculous charge it was to get those photos printed out. But yeah, it was really cool to, I think you took your memory card, or did you take your whole cartridge there? I can't remember now.
But it printed out like your photos that you took. Yeah. It wasn't just like a generic, like, you bring it in and it prints out like the Target version of the Charizard or whatever.
No, it brought up a little menu, and it's all of your photos that you had. And then I, selected it. I printed out at least like 12 of them. I think it was quite a bit, but
that's cool. And really they were stickers as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the days. There's nothing like that anymore. I shouldn't say that. Who knows?
Nothing like that?
Stuff like that.
You say, even though I've uploaded all of my best photos to the internet so that they could say that I were sweet, and then I get a little achievement for how many people have enjoyed my wonderfully cropped photos.
Is that all within game, John?
Yeah, like there's the whole like internet, like it will. In addition to like the actual gameplay, like there's a ton of, just sharing mechanics built in. Obviously, like the Switch itself has it makes it really easy to take screenshots and upload them to Twitter, which is something that I've been doing. But like they do have like an internet section where you're uploading them and you can see anyone else's, that it's done by some algorithm. It's not like a really, I don't know how. If you were looking for my photo specifically, I have no idea how you would do that. But
this might be jumping ahead, but do they assign a point total to these photos that you're uploading to the internet?
Oh, they sure do. But they don't show the point total to other people. The point total is just for your own records.
Got it. Like your campaign and whatever.
I will say, like, one of my favorite things about this game is that, like, it's the actual playing of the game where, you're going into these different levels that have multiple paths that you end up taking, that you unlock as you go. Like each area has itself has like expedition points, which are the experience points, which the more photos you take and get point totals for those photos, then it levels up the level of the trail. And then it gets more complicated where there are more Pokemon into doing different things, and the trail itself changes over time. Like the very popular, like one of the things that they do in the first level that like I think is, I've seen it in basically every single review for it, is that the very first time there is the Bidoof, which is a beaver Pokemon.
One of the best names.
Yes. But it's building a dam, and by the time that you reach like level 2 of the night course, the dam is complete.
Love it.
So then that opens up a little like extra path. That one's not quite as drastic as some of the later levels where it will actually like have a different ending point. But for the most part, you're going along this same path and just seeing Pokemon interact with each other. And like it's not super complicated, but like, man, it is that dopamine hit I get just seeing like two cute Pokemon playing together. That's all I want.
So it sounds pretty similar to the first Pokemon Snap in that it's essentially an on-rail shooter just with a Pokemon theme, and you're taking pictures, not killing things.
Yes, and much slower, I guess.
Oh yeah,
kind of. And you're always on the move, right? Do you get any control over your movement? Because like I feel like in on-rail shooters, you have like kind of like a lot of stop and go. It's like hit this checkpoint and then you like shoot them up. But yeah, it's totally what it is, though. It is like you have no say over your movement.
Pretty much.
You're just on like a track, almost like an amusement park ride, essentially, like a safari ride in Disney World or something.
And like I would say like the things that I don't really like about the game are, one, if you're going to a level specifically to like, each Pokemon has in your photo decks a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and 4-star photo. And if you're just taking a like generic, like, oh, that's just a photo of this Pokemon doing nothing, that's usually a 1 star. If they're like running around or doing something and engaging with the thing, that's a 2 star.
Okay.
If they're doing something like really specific or like unique, or like you have to trigger a certain like amount of events by either like playing a melody for them, or like triggering like a specific set of like you throw an apple at them and like that will like get, or like set a chain of events that will get them to do these like special like 3 and 4. So you're going to these levels over and over and over again to get your photo decks filled out for like a 1, 2, 3, and 4 star. So if you're going to a level specifically for one Pokemon for one photo, then you have the incredibly slow and like deliberate. God, that's not great. But you have to keep playing these levels anyway, so you might as well just go through. Like the progression is a little slow on that, like in terms of leveling up a trail in order to get to the next level and have more things happen, more Pokemon like interacting with each other. So you're playing them like sometimes like 3-4 times, and like you just got to take photos of everything. Like,
And how long is like a level or a track or whatever?
Honestly, probably only like 2-3 minutes.
Oh,
max.
nice.
Okay.
Like, they're not long. Like it's not like a tortuous thing, but sometimes
they're jam packed. Like compared to the 64
so
version,
much.
which makes sense. But like I've seen a few clips where it's just like any which way you turn, it's like there's Pokemon doing something. Where like in the 64 one, it was very more. From what I remember, it's been ages, but I remember it being more like a little more scripted. Like this, if there was a bonus path, I don't think it was ever like unlocked in that way. It was more like you had to trigger an event, like
get
throw
Pikachu
a Pokeball into like exactly, or throw like a Pokeball like into the volcano, and then it would like unlock a secret path, or trigger a Charizard to come out or something.
Whipping apples.
It looks more like it's like wildlife a little bit more in this game as opposed to like an amusement park ride.
I will say spoilers if you think that there are spoilers in like how Pokemon interact, but really. Lauren's been watching it with me as I play it, and she was lightly traumatized because Finian, a fish Pokemon, like I was taking pictures of a school of them and they all scattered except for one, which a Wingull, seagull, like swooped down and picked one and just like scared. I was like, because up until that point, you've only seen like Pokemon like play with each other, or like maybe like, one will like yell at another and like scare it off. But that was the first time I'd ever seen one just like straight up get like eaten.
Yeah, no battle sequence here. Let me just scoop you up.
And then immediately
That's hilarious.
after, in the same area, like I see a Squirtle getting chased by a Sharpedo, which is a shark, and I'm just like, oh man, oh god, like at least the fish isn't like as you're not emoting as much as say a Squirtle, but
this is going to turn into Planet Earth in a second here,
right?
Pokemon Earth,
but there's so much more. Like, it's unbelievable how much like interaction there is between like thing and like I feel like there's probably so much more, and I've unlocked like a good amount of trails. Like,
I was just gonna ask, like, how many? I know you're talking about leveling up the specific trails before, but like, how many levels or whatever have you unlocked? Like different settings or whatever.
6 like specific distinct areas. And some of them have a night trail. I think everyone has a night and day trail.
Nice.
Which you can level up separately. And then I think after a while, they'll also unlock a quote unquote like boss area where it's like one specific event happening. But again, I've only gotten a boss event for the first level, and I've only gotten day and night for like 4 of them out of like the 6. But like that's a lot of trails, and a lot of trails to replay over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like this game is massive.
That's awesome.
And it looked like it goes pretty in depth. Like I saw some of the clips of like the ranking system. Like after you finish a trail, like it goes pretty in depth into like going over everything you did on that expedition or whatever.
Initially, I was going in and manually select, because you can only submit one picture per Pokemon per like go through.
Okay, because it looked like you could take a ton of pictures.
You can, but there's just a ton. You have like 70 something in your roll per. So that's also a way that you can end a run early if you run out of.
Just spam the.
Yes, I've only done that once so far, where I was just like, you know what, I don't need to go through the last minute of this level. But initially, you are given the option to like choose like your favorite photo or like what photo you're going to submit for review to get like the ratings on, and then see if like it's better than whatever you have on record. But after a while, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna let I don't know what constitutes a good photo to this game.
Right.
I have an idea, but the photos that I think are objectively better are often not the ones that the game thinks are, because art is subjective. And I just the algorithm for like automatically submitting it, like it will always submit a photo in it will prioritize if you haven't put one in like a 1 to 4 star like rating. If you have none submitted, it will automatically select that one. And then if you do, then it'll automatically select the highest rating one. Like, so if you are submitting, you only have like, say, 1 star for this one, and you are submitting another 1 star, it will select the highest rated of those to like compare against what you already have.
Makes sense.
So it's a good system to just like, you know what, I'm done. Auto select everything to submit, and then just spam A to go through the ranking process. Because again, that also takes. It's at times it's frustrating, but overall, like I think it's a really good game.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think in most cases you're sitting down to kind of relax with Pokemon Snap. You're not sitting down to like game it up, you know. So like it is kind of more like, you know, Animal Crossing mood, I guess, you know, with a little more going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that they made this new Pokemon Snap, which that's what it's literally called, right? New Pokemon.
Yes, new Pokemon Snap.
Because like Pokemon Snap came out in '99, and like for years we wanted another one, and like then the Wii U comes out, and you're like, oh my god, this is the perfect platform for Pokemon Snap. And it never happened. Heard nothing. And like, oh, that was wasted. I guess we're not going to get it.
That makes me bummed out a little bit, because how cool would it have been to hold up the tablet and like actually zoom in on the tablet as
perfect.
It
would have been perfect.
But as someone who played Pokemon Let's Go, and then as soon as I possibly could, I switched the control scheme back to just controller instead of using the like Wii or
the
Joy-Con motion controls.
Yeah.
Like it's nice to a point.
Fair.
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad they put this out. I'm glad Pokemon Snap is still a thing and is now an ongoing franchise.
Yes.
And that they put some love into it, it seems. Like it wasn't just like a remake, because they, you know, they've done some remakes or remasters or whatever. So
yeah.
I was honestly expecting way less in this game, and I'm so pleasantly surprised that there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Awesome to hear that's not like a Nintendo cash grab. But yeah, I was actually firing up my Switch for the first time in quite a while. I've been like dipping into my computer and playing a bunch of little indie games mostly lately. But we were talking about when we put out episode 101 of the podcast, our buddy Zandan was like, what? No Wonderful 101 talk? And that's because I have been kind of mentioning like, oh, I picked it. I think I like mentioned when I purchased it recently. I got a physical copy. I'm going Randall style on this one. And I don't know. I was just like, I really want to get this game. And it's a mixed bag. I actually started playing it today, probably put about 2 hours in, and got through like the first boss-ish, like kind of got a tease of like who I think is going to be like the main boss, or at least kind of like a main like recurring minion or whatever. But it's a game from Platinum, who if you're familiar with like Bayonetta, and I think really the only one I've played is Nier Automata, which I talked about a long time ago on the podcast. And I don't know. I just think like it's it's such a mixed bag where it's like it's such an arcadey game. And there's just so much going on, and especially with this being originally a Wii U game, and this is like the remastered version for the Switch. Like, it really utilized both screens, like we were just talking about. Like, you would actually draw like a shape or a pattern on the touchpad, and then that would turn your character into like a gun or a giant sword or a giant fist to punch stuff or grab stuff. And now you're doing all those. Yeah, much easier said than done, and especially more difficult said than done. I don't know how to word that, but like on the Switch, you're having to do that without touchscreen controls. At least I'm playing it docked on my TV. I haven't actually tried it handheld, but I'm doing it where like you have to use the right stick to kind of draw like a shape, and it gets into like, the first two things you have, it's like draw a circle and then or draw like a straight line to be either like a fist or a sword. So that's pretty simple. But then you start getting to like some slightly more. Like I talked about Okami a while ago on the podcast, like a while ago, and from some of the same team here, that was Clover who worked on that, who I think kind of some of them became platinum
under Capcom.
Yeah, and that game really like because it kind of like I think it does totally pause time when you go into like the brushstroke mode, and then you just have a limited amount of time where this goes into more of like a slow-mo kind of situation. Right. I'm just starting to get the hang of it. Like I fought two bosses. But yeah, my gripes are like there's like a few sequences here and there where like you clearly have to like do something specific, but it doesn't tell you what you have to do. And it's like, I just have to pick up this giant football helmet and get underneath it. But like, I'm thinking I have to pick it up with my giant fist, but actually I just need to draw a circle around it to help all my, it's almost like Pikmin style gameplay in a way, like really fast paced Pikmin. Because you even get to a point where like you're attacking like the more you can have up to like 100 heroes, I think. And like you personally as the player are the one. You're because they are called the wonderful 100 is what they always refer to themselves as. And it's just like got that really like kind of cheeky sense of humor, really cartoony. Like, I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I'm really torn because like I'm just starting to get into it and feel like I'm like, I might really like this game a lot. But up until now, it's been kind of like really confusing at times, really just like, I don't know what's going on. But it is like the set pieces are amazing. It's just like one after another after another. And it's really cool so far. Has anybody else checked this game out? Or John, did you have a thought here?
Yeah, like I saw you bringing that up on the Discord, and it kind of made me think about my experience with like Clover or Platinum games, specifically the more action-oriented ones, where like I think that's kind of like built into like those series of games. Like I remember like Beautiful Joe. I just had to like play like that was a more arcadey kind of experience where
but this game reminds me of that a lot. I mean, it has those beat 'em up qualities where it's like you clear a mission and then it's like go and go to the next section and then beat these bosses up or beat these enemies up and then go mission 3. It's just move on. So
yeah, but like I definitely remember there being a learning curve where I just had to be like, this is how this game controls and I need to get used to that. And once I've gotten used to it, and it was the same thing with Bayonetta where like I don't think I actually enjoyed Bayonetta on like the first couple missions, but like once I got a handle of like how to play the game at least in the way that I wanted to, because Bayonetta was a lot more of like specific combos and like you kind of can tailor it to like however you want to play on that. And like, but again, like once I got that down, I really enjoyed those games, but I don't think I necessarily did right at the beginning.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the exact experience I'm having. Yeah, like I got to the 2-hour mark, and again, I'm glad Zandan keeps pushing me because I played a little bit and I was getting a little frustrated, and like even like the way it incorporates that second screen of like what would be on the Wii U second screen, like you can like press the minus button and make it totally go off the screen, which is pretty much how I've played most of the time, but only because when I pull it up, it just shows like a million heroes on there, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Do I pick one? Like, it's like kind of transparent. I can't really see, and then otherwise it's kind of like a radar for enemies, but you're always in like pretty closed off sections, so... And that's kind of my one gripe is sometimes it's just like, where do I go? And then it's like, I'm supposed to like extend my army of people that are connected to me to like make a ladder to the top of this building or to make a bridge like across this boss's arms to get to the other side of it. Like, but again, like just that giant, like everything is a spectacle. Like as soon as something ends, it's like, oh shit, now this is going down. And like, it's really cool. Like
they're good at that. They're good at that spectacle. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you played a little bit of this on Wii U, like way back when, right, Randall? Because I did too. Yeah. I think I played like the demo or something because I never owned it.
I bought all 7 Wii U exclusive games because I had a Wii U. So.
Well, it's still one that I would say is potentially worth like that. That might still be the better version of the two.
Sure. Yeah, but I'd say like I will admit just kind of like your initial experience where it's a bit of frustration. Like I only got to that point and just kind of bounced pretty hard. And to be fair, in talking through a lot of these platinum and platinum inspired games, I've bounced pretty hard off of most of them. Besides Beautiful Joe is like the only one that really clicked with me, and that was like we talked about something that still had a pretty harsh learning curve, but I just liked that one so much. But I'm a big beat 'em up guy, so it kind of stands to reason that way too.
Yeah, it was still the learning curve. Like it didn't have so many buttons. I feel I could be wrong, but man,
a little bit
this
less,
game,
yeah.
This game has a ton of buttons, and you're constantly like there's tutorials popping up on the left that take up another quarter of the screen, and you gotta like hold down the left stick to make them disappear. And it's like, it just, everything's like kind of weird and it keeps like telling you what to do all the time. But it looks like overall there's like 7 main like heroes that have like different abilities. So right now I have like the giant fist, I have the sword, and I just got the gun, which is really cool. Like you can actually, like one of the bosses I just fought was like, you have to like, it's like this giant like cannon mech thing, and it shoots out these like giant cannonballs, and like eventually they become like almost like a minion that'll start attacking you. But if you can suck it up with the gun, it like suctions it to the front of the gun, and then you can jump up and shoot that cannonball at the enemy. But it's just like it's crazy. This game is like, it's insane. It's really hard to follow what's going on sometimes, but it's a lot of fun, and I do think I'm gonna keep playing it, especially now that I'm sort of getting the hang of things. So.
Nice.
And yeah, before we get to like our deeper chat about some Bomberman at the end of the episode here, I did want to mention, since I fired up the Switch, a couple more games that I just got sucked into. Like I was like, let me make a couple videos here. Like it's been a while since I fired up my Switch, and since I'm playing Wonderful 101 and checking out some other stuff, why don't I play some of these games? And I know I've mentioned Null Drifter and many games from this developer on the podcast, Panda Indie Studios, and they make a ton of shmups. They've done a few like arcadey games. Otherwise, I think I talked about Project Starship X from them as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this is yet another shmup, Void Gore. I don't know if I said the name of that already, but it is a really cool, very much in the vein of Null Drifter, where it has like that really small like roguelite element where you like have to buy upgrades, but eventually you're going to be fully leveled up. Like it has like, you know, once you buy like 3 health upgrades, that's your max. Once you buy, but your fire rate is maxed out. But once you max everything out, it's got the leaderboards and everything, just like I loved in Null Drifter. It actually only shows like where you're ranked and then the top 10 otherwise. Like you can't see anything else, nice. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's like, and I can't remember exactly. I still need to fully level up, but the core conceit of this game is that you have this giant like sphere, this void sphere or circle, I guess. It's like a top-down, vertically scrolling shmup.
Nice.
And bullet hell in that sense. And like this sphere, as it grows, anything inside that circle, or I keep calling it a sphere, but anything inside that circle will disappear. Like it'll clear all the projectiles. But if you let it grow all the way, and I'm talking like when you upgrade this thing, it almost covers the full screen. But you got to wait quite a while for it to grow that big. But once it grows that big, there's like a little sound effect. The circle turns red. And then not only do you get to clear everything inside, you kill the enemies inside that circle as well. Nice. And we're talking like even when they're like mini bosses, like, but you got to, and the only other thing is like when you're firing, if you hold down the fire button, you're going to be moving a little bit slower. So it's kind of like just juggling your speed a lot and like where you need to go. Like obviously like dodging all the bullets, but like, yeah, it's kind of, again, just that risk reward. Like, do I just use the clear right now to clear the bullets and get to safety, or do I try to dodge it and wait it out and then try to kill everything on the screen, which is all like for, you know, you get coins from that. And then once you get the unlocks, it's all just for points and whatnot. But Yeah, just another really cool arcadey game that I got really sucked into. And then on top of that, I got really sucked into this other game called Hell is Other Demons, which I've had sitting on my Switch forever. And it's just like a kind of a platformer shmup. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Downwell, but they're more on like these single screen ish levels. There's a little bit of vertical scrolling, but never any horizontal, to the best of my knowledge, at least as far as I've gotten. But it's got like that usual, again, like the palette swapping. It's got like really juicy like particle effects all over the place. It's just like a really striking visual game. And the controls are spot on. It almost looks like it would be a twin stick shooter, but it actually plays like more like, I'm trying to think of some games that utilize that feature actually, but like Black Future 88's the only thing that comes to mind where like, I don't think we've ever talked about that one on the podcast, but it like the right stick just kind of aims based like Flint Hook actually.
Okay.
Where you're shooting is just like based on where you're like running and aiming. The only thing I wish is like the game, I wish there was a button kind of like in Metroid games or whatever where you can like hold a button down to stand still and then shoot like up or diagonal or whatever. There doesn't seem to be a button to do that.
Set angle. Yeah.
You are on the move constantly to the point like you can double jump. It's one of those games where if you're firing downwards, it kind of like propels you upwards. You can also like if you hold down jump, you kind of like flutter down, kind of Super Mario World cape style. And you can land. I think I said this, but you can land on enemies on top of shooting them. And there's just all types of different weapons. There's a campaign. There's an arcade mode, and then they added like a lava jump mode, which takes away the guns and stuff completely. And it's just strictly like climbing up a procedurally generated, like you're just jumping and trying to dodge projectiles and enemies and stuff and get as high as you can before the lava rises and melts you. But but yeah, it's just like a really cool game. I think I talked about one of the games they made for a game jam a long time ago on the podcast, Pink River, which was just really cool. So like that one was cool, very cool and stylistic. And this one's got a different approach. It's not like pseudo 3D or whatever, but it definitely has like this developer has a very nice like stylistic touch on all fronts. The music's cool, the palettes are cool, and again the arcade mode has like different characters with different buffs and different like every mode is almost like its own game. It feels like it's really cool. Other than the lava jump is more of a mini game, but the two modes are kind of very much of their own, which is really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, but why don't we get into the last thing we're going to chat about tonight, which is some Bomberman and kind of just Bomberman in general. I know, John, you kind of initiated this conversation, I think, so why don't you take the lead, at least as far as like just you brought up Bomberman in some capacity.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly how I did, because I think what I had done was I had started replaying Bomberman Max 2 for the Game Boy Advance.
That's the one I downloaded. That's the one I downloaded and played because you talked about it. So,
and like that was honestly, I think that may have been my first 2D Bomberman, which is a weird, because my first Bomberman game was Bomberman Hero or Bomberman 64. I'm not sure which one was first for me. But like, yeah, my first experience in Bomberman was like a Bomberman that was trying to like make the jump into 3D and like really completely changing the way that those games handled.
Yep.
So
get a little that Mario 64 money there.
Yeah. So wait, is it not that like same isometric view? Is it like behind you as a character, or how's the camera in those 64 games?
Oh, it's a 3D game, like platformer.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or at least more so, oh man. Like Hero is a platformer, like more than anything, where you like will throw bombs in an arc like in front of you. You can also lay bombs or also kick them. So like, oh man, I love Hero so much. We talked about it on the Ickenfell like interview podcast, how like it also has one of my favorite soundtracks of any game ever, which is this really weirdly specific drum and bass like New Jack City electronica.
Well, you don't hear that on the 64 especially. You know, you get a lot of those like honky trumpets and I don't know.
Oh, it's incredible. But like 64 and 64 Second Attack are more like not even I don't know. There's not, because there wasn't a traditional. It was making the transition to 3D. So like, but it was, I think, a lot more laying bombs and like kicking bombs.
And it still had the multiplayer modes that was a little bit more traditional of what people would expect from Bomberman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Max 2 was like very much just a, like, as I've come to learn, a more traditional 2D Bomberman of, you know, that's grid based. You have the upgrades that will allow you to lay more bombs or increase the explosion size of the bombs. And there are the breakable blocks and the ones that won't. So you need to like plan where you're laying the bombs and like get rid of enemies. But when I brought that up to you guys, you were telling me that I needed to check out Bomberman 94 specifically.
Yeah, because that came to the Virtual Console via the TurboGrafx Virtual Console on the Wii.
Yep.
And we were, at least for me, that was my introduction to TurboGrafx. And probably not my introduction to Bomberman, but definitely spent the most time, like, that was my first time being like, I love Bomberman. Because we would play that at Randall's place, like, all the time. We would go to his apartment like after work when we worked at in the Best Buy days and just like, let's play. Or it wasn't always after work per se, but like we've spent hours playing that on certain occasions, and so fun.
It's classic. Yeah, that's the Bomberman multiplayer formula is just what it's known for. And the Wii in particular opening up all those TurboGrafx games to a wider North American audience for the first time, because it didn't do that well when it came out. So like first it was Bomberman 93, which I loved the soundtrack of. But yeah, like 94 adding the animals and everything. And then on the Wii with the Virtual Console, you could play 5-player if you had a GameCube controller plugged in,
wasn't it 5? So cool. Yeah.
Wait, was TurboGrafx a 5-port multi? What on earth?
So PC Engine / TurboGrafx only had one controller port, which is kind of BS. But you could buy a multi-tap, and of course, like Bomberman, always the series to justify multi-taps across consoles. But you could buy a multi-tap for your PC Engine / TurboGrafx Turbo Duo. It's a 5-port multi-tap, and Bomberman games in particular took advantage.
Oh yeah.
What were games doing at this point?
Well, isn't there even a Bomberman like multi-tap? Like it's actually like it looks like Bomberman's face. Like, I don't know if it's for TurboGrafx, but for Super Nintendo.
Nintendo for sure had one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was kind of my introduction to those games. And like, as much as I loved them, like when I first started playing the campaign of Bomberman 94, that was when, because like we would play over and over, and the one gripe I would have with the multiplayer of Bomberman 94 is that I think it always uses the same song. I want to say like there's like a multiplayer song,
probably,
but like in the game there's like different worlds and zones, and they have their own like themes and really awesome music. I know you mentioned that for 93, but 94 has some great tunes as well. And then again, add in all those like animals you can ride that not only give you an extra like hit point for Bomberman, but like give you the ability to either like kick bombs like over obstacles or even kick
or
the breakable blocks out of the way. Like I was like, whoa, that like you can do so much, and like it's so charming. Like the worlds are so cool, the enemies are so cool, and it's kind of the same thing with 3, but 94 just seemed, or 93, I mean, but like 94 just gets right into the action. Like even like your flame is like a little bigger on the first bomb, like as opposed to being like just a little one tile. Like, man, I love it.
So yeah, we were talking before we started recording how like I started playing 93 because that was in English. At least of what I had available. And then like that one is rough when you start out because you have one bomb and it only has the one explosion radius.
It's hard to kill enemies.
It's so hard. Like it is that like
careful
the game
timing
just gets progressively easier after that because you can lay multiple bombs. You eventually can get like, but there's only one power up per stage. Whereas,
oh really?
Yeah. And like
they stack them in 94.
Yes, they do.
And like they do in Max too. Like I was just so used to that of like, okay, I'm gonna go kill every enemy, like break every breakable block, and like hunt for the little secrets, and then I would finally get like, you know, and it is kind of a double-edged sword if you're like, you know, back yourself into a corner and you have like a massively overpowered bomb that's just going to just take you out. But
Yeah, it's hard if you build up that flame too much. It's
Ooh. Don't get too cocky because it's easy to kill yourself.
There are times where it's maybe better to not pick up that item.
Oh yeah.
It gets pretty strategic. Yeah, I really like how the game works, and I really like how 94 again, like most of the games are kill all the enemies to clear the screen and find the portal and go through the portal or whatever. 94 kind of changes that up where there's like usually, at least in the first world, I haven't gotten much beyond that in the campaign, but like it's like blow up these like towers that are almost like you like unlock the gate once you blow up the towers. But even some of the levels are like you have to clear one part of the level and then go through like a door and then you're in like a new part of the world. Like it's so cool. And I tried playing Bomberman Max too, John. Is there a red and blue? Because I think I had the blue version, whichever version that you put in the drive.
Yeah.
And I started playing that, and that game, as much as I love it, I love like it has that kind of like pseudo 3D Game Boy Advance style, like kind of like Kururin or whatever that I mentioned with like the way those like like it almost looks like clay to me. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's like the Donkey Kong Country, like pre-rendered CG, but then like turned into pixels.
Yeah,
little rendered sprite action.
Yeah, and I really like the look of it, but man, I found that game to be so hard. Like the second or third level, there's like a helper character with you, and they're just like, "Hey, I'm gonna help you," and they're just like kicking bombs in my face left and right.
Wild.
I'm like, "What the hell?" Like I could not beat that level. I think it was the second level in the game. I played it like 5 to 10 times. Couldn't beat it.
That was
got frustrated, and I was like, "I'm gonna go back to 94."
Yeah. Did the same thing.
But so the nice thing about Max 2 is that it has like the way that you progress through it is like you go through these portals at the end of each level, and those will take you to different levels. It's kind of like a, I don't know, like Star Fox Spiderweb level select.
Oh,
okay.
Like, but eventually some of them will just start looping back, and you're trying to get to the, like, usually I think each area has like 3 boss like end points, and I think they're all usually the same boss. Actually, don't quote me on that. I don't actually remember. But you're like, you can either try to go through and replay levels or like go through different paths, and like once you go through a level and complete it, it will, like, the portal will say like it'll be a red portal, and it'll say the world and level that it links to. So like a blue portal will always be a level that you've never been to. So that's kind of how you navigate it and try to get to the end. As you're replaying it. But yeah,
it's got like a little bit of an open world like element to it, just subtly, you know.
Yeah,
and I think you can select, like, if you save the game and restart it, you can select any level that you've beaten.
Okay,
because that's also the way that, like how 94 introduced. I can't remember the name of because the animal's also in Hero.
It looks like a kangaroo.
Yeah, it is a cute kangaroo animal, but
very cute.
Bomberman 64, was it 64's the second attack? I think that one was the one that introduced Pommy, which was the Cherubomb. Again, I'm just throwing out terms that are meaningless to anyone who wasn't playing these games.
Not meaningless. You're making me want to play the Bomberman 64 games.
I want to buy all those games.
Yeah.
They're fun as hell. But that, like, the Cherubombs are the things that you ride in Bomberman Max, and they have the same abilities that the kangaroo animal would have in 94.
Okay.
Or also in Hero. Again, none of this is super important. But
well, obviously, Bomberman doesn't like stick to like the rules of the series or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they just kind of wing it each game.
These Cherubombs that you ride in Max 2 each give you like a specific ability. So like some of them will like automatically give you like 4 bombs at every time, or maximum explosion every time. One of them that I remember getting through like the fusion mechanic, because there's a whole sub game in this, like, where you raise their like stats and you can fight them in like a link battle. It's fun.
So they really were doing a Pokemon thing here.
Oh yeah, like one of them like creates a 5x5 grid of
Wow.
like things.
Holy.
So it's just absurd. And I would always do that and then like play a level where I could get a like timer upgrade. And then I would just
wipe the floor.
it was so unnecessary and overpowered
Yeah,
played
well, I think
so much.
the cool thing for me was like jumping into the campaigns. Like, there's so much more stuff than is in the multiplayer. Like, there's way more power ups. I don't think they give you the kangaroos in the multiplayer, if I'm not mistaken. In '94, I don't remember ever getting those.
I'm not sure, but I do know we played a lot of '93 because that came out.
Is that the one we played?
I think we played that more often because it came out earlier on Virtual Console.
Okay,
so
you're probably right.
Yeah.
I think I might have just remembered the campaign more of '94, and then because I only checked out the campaign of '93 recently,
Sure,
and it didn't ring a bell immediately, other than like I was like, yeah, this isn't as good as I remembered it, and then when I booted up '94, I was like, this is what I remember.
'94 is incredible. It's
so
those
games are
great.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
How far does your Bomberman knowledge go back, Randall? Because these have been around since like NES, even before that, I think.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
Atari.
So I've played quite a few Bomberman games, but I will say like my heart lies with kind of 93, 94 turbo graphics type of nostalgia. I just love how it shows off. Like the Bomberman series, and Hudson Soft is just a master developer, I think. Especially
on the Turbo. And on the Turbo, they killed it. Yeah.
They crushed it. Like, they were the main developer on Turbo Graphics.
I agree.
You get your Bonks and your Air Zonks and your Adventure Islands and your Star Soldiers and Final Soldier, all like just tons of games.
Yeah.
Dungeon Explorer, lots of games. Love them. But I think they did a great job showing off what the Turbo Graphics can do, like just how colorful it was. And like, I just love how the sound chip sounds on the Turbo / PC engine too. But yeah, Bomberman 94, I found myself playing like more than I ever had before, just playing through an emulator this time, even though I own the game, because in Japan, where the only place it came out, the PC Engine is a much bigger deal than the Turbo Graphics ever was. So it sold a lot of copies, which shouldn't be a surprise because it's amazing. But I played at least halfway through 94 and got got through to mechanics like there's like mine carts that you can jump onto that weave through the levels and start breaking blocks and killing enemies. It's so much fun.
It's so
okay.
good.
You guys got further than I did.
It's so good.
I got to like just finishing off the first like world or zone or whatever, I think. On 94.
It's great. Yeah, and Hudson Soft is great.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are. They crank them out, especially. And you said recently, what are they up to these days?
Good question. I don't know about recently.
Were they in charge of the most recent? I thought that was Bomberman R or Switch R.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was that big.
Was that
a different team?
That might have been a different developer.
Yeah, they might have panned that one out.
Konami.
Yeah,
it was Konami and Hexadrive.
It looks like their development kind of ended around 2010 for the most part.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
No worries.
Rip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, they still got a nice back catalog that we can clearly dig through. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of hidden gems, especially like that Bomberman series is so deep, and it's kind of hard to know, hey, which one should I play? Like which version should I try out? Should I go to the like very first original? And at least if I'm saying, I'd say 94 is a great place to start.
Oh, yeah.
94 is an incredible experience.
It is. It's so good.
What do you think compared, because you have more like nostalgia for Max on the Game Boy Advance, John, and coming to 94 fresh, like what do you feel on that front?
I just wish it had a save function. That's all. Like passcodes are nice, but there's something about like the fact that you can just enter a passcode that you didn't earn as opposed to a save file. But
it's just to show your proof. Yeah.
But 94, like after playing 93, like I had much lower expectations because 93 was a lot more like, sometimes when I play like retro games, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is more of like an experience that I'm like, seeing like this is what the development was of the game at the time.
Yeah.
But, like,
I want to appreciate this.
Yeah. But as soon as I booted up 94, I was like, nope, this is just still a good game, like holds up. I will play this and beat it. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it
Heck
is.
yeah.
Like and one other Bomberman like history piece, and Kevin, this is a game that we actually played together a while ago. If you remember Bomberman Panic Bomber, the puzzle game that we played on Turbo Duo.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it was kind of Puyo Puyo-esque, I would say, where you kind of see like the Bomberman faces.
Yeah.
But another really cool
or...
game developed by Hudson Soft in the Bomberman series, kind of an offshoot, but like they didn't miss in those days. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I forgot about that game, but you said that was like the Turbo Duo?
Yeah, so it was on the CD-ROM, the Super CD-ROM of the PC Engine. So yeah, we played on Turbo Duo that way.
Gotcha.
It's good stuff.
Well, I guess, yeah. Well, real quick before we wrap up, I did want to just give a quick shout out to this other Turbo Graphics game called Zapang. I think I mentioned it a couple times in the Discord chat. Yeah. It's pretty much like a Solomon's Key clone / ripoff. But it's based on like this manga / movie called Zapang. And if you see like the box art for the game, I mean, it's like a live action shot of like two people from the movie, I would assume.
Very early 90s looking.
You would never boot up this game. I booted it up accidentally, actually. I was like scrolling through the Turbo games on the emulator, and it was the last game, Zapang in the Z's, and I just clicked it on accident and started it up, and I was like, oh, the music's kind of jamming. I started playing, and it's like, just like, kind of and we talked about Fire and Ice not too long ago, Randall, which is kind of like a sequel to Solomon's Key, and this is kind of like a more action-based as opposed to puzzly. Like, it's very puzzly still, but... Man, the music just jams. Did you get Did you play any of this, Randall?
I did.
Or did you take a look at it? Yeah.
You said it was like Fire and Ice or whatever, and I'm like, okay. And it's on Turbo Graphics. I have to try this out. Like a game I had never heard of, and like
same
you said,
here.
based on that box art, why would I ever have?
Look at it. Yeah, you're just like, oh god, pass.
It's like, what is this? Is this like an early FMV thing they did on the CD? Like, what are they going for here? But it just looks. It's one of those games, and this happened back in the day in like the early '90s, where the box art just was complete like non sequitur from what the actual
especially
game
for the
was.
North American audience. It was like, oh, make it look like cool. It's like, not so much.
Not so much. No, it's good though. I was like really impressed. I played a few levels of it. It's not easy, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's hard.
Having played Fire and Ice so recently, to talk on the podcast, I kind of got the hang of it pretty quickly though.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. Like, I was pretty surprised how much I kept like going, let me try that again. Let me try. I just like kept playing it for an hour or two where I was like, man, I didn't even know this game existed until I accidentally clicked on it. So yeah,
although you got that timer, so that's kind of a factor to like, you can't take too much time to figure out the best path through this. Like, you got to move too.
Yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, it's a really cool game, worth checking out.
Oh yeah, Zapang.
Yeah. A little more arcade action on the Turbo, but I think that's probably a good place to wrap things up for this week. And as always, you can find us on the internet at pursuingpixels.com. We got a nice link tree where you can find pretty much all our stuff, the podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, Twitch, YouTube, and everything else. But otherwise, take care, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you go. There you go.
Because I found the of course, because I went on a couple subreddits to figure out like the preferred way to like get them.
Sure.
And they're like used on eBay. And I was like, that makes sense. Okay. So I found like I can get them for like half off, and like I don't need any. But for the way
they're
that
used. Like because you have like the whole package and everything, then they don't look touched.
That one that was the one that Mikey got me.
Oh, okay.
But that's the other thing is that like I also don't want to like just like put in no skin into this game, like because like Mikey got me everything, and I'm very grateful for that. But at the same time, I'm like I want to actually like put something into this,
invest a little into this,
right.
You guys should talk to. I know you're talking to Eric Olson about Monster Hunter. He does a little Warhammer too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I definitely told him that we were.
His models are sick, dude.
They're like really fucking good.
He's so talented. I've posted his art a few times in our like Instagram story.
Yeah,
Randall, you might have seen it. It kind of like it kind of looks like oil pastelish. I know
Okay.
that's not what he uses, but it kind of looks like that style.
Okay.
But yeah, he just posts like really cool art.
Yeah.
He's like, he got really into like making stuff during the pandemic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that like translated into him like painting like unbelievably good. Like,
Yeah. Like I really want to buy some of his pieces. Like I really think they're awesome.
Nice.
Which I don't feel that way super often with. I mean, I like good artwork, but like I don't typically feel compelled to be like, man, I would drop $200 on that or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But especially when I know it's going to a good friend or whatever,
Yeah.
because Eric's a cool dude.
For sure.
But what about you, Randall? Anything you got going on?
I'm going to drink the rest of this beer, see what Tina's up to. It's probably about the extent of it. Go to sleep,
Yeah.
you know. Get ready to study tomorrow, probably through the weekend, so I can take this test.